Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 68. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the giving Mike Christensen.
I mean, I could give you an apple if you need one. If you need a baseball bat, you can just cut off one of my branches. If you need somewhere to sit, just cut me in half and sit on the second half of my body.
Follow-up question.
Sure.
If I cut you in half, can I still get the apple afterwards? Like, is there an order in how I have to get these specific items?
Yes, there is. You have
Apple
to
first,
start on the outside, work
baseball
your way
bat.
in.
Guys, sometimes we talk about comics, and now we're going to do that now.
Is The Giving Tree a comic book? Not really. Hey,
No.
but you know it is a comic book.
What?
The comic books we're about to talk about. Because every episode we talk about the comics on our pull list, which is theoretically when you go to the comic book store and you say, hey, I would like you to hold on to the copies of these when they come into the store so that I can buy them at my leisure. And then you come in later and you're like, has that issue come in yet? And they say, yes, it is. Here you go, sir or madam or miss. I don't know if madam is rude for you.
Now, this is very important. There's comic book speak, and if they get it wrong, you're allowed to slap them. So make sure they get it correct.
Jay, what is your pull list comic book of this episode, which is episode 68?
Guys, the comic I'm reading for this episode, or I guess I have read for in preparation of this episode, is Green Valley. Green Valley is brought by Skybound and Image Comics working together. Skybound is, I believe, a new kind of imprint group.
Yeah.
So they're pretty neat. Green Valley is one of their properties.
I think it's Kirkman's project.
His own thing. Interesting.
In collaboration with Image. I don't know, actually.
Fair enough.
I just said that. That may not be true.
We'll never get the answer, except somebody else out there already knows, or Googled it. We didn't. Anyways, it's written by Max Landis.
We're great at this.
And the art is by Giuseppe Camuncoli.
I mean, I can't possibly know whether or not that's true or not.
Giuseppe Camuncoli, I believe
is it not Giuseppe? Like it almost always is Giuseppe?
Yeah, it's Giuseppe. What did I say?
Not Giuseppe.
Fair enough.
So close.
I'm so sorry, Giuseppe, that I mispronounced your name. We're ignoring the second half, like, you know, the surname, because there's probably terribly bad.
There's no way we could possibly know.
Regardless, I'll talk about the comic now. Now, the comic Green Valley.
We're so American. It's really bad.
So I like Max Landis' foray into comics so far has been batting 1,000 for me. He did the Superman story, the All-American Superman, which was very, very fun. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed the take. It was a 7-issue run, and now he's doing a new run on this comic series called Green Valley. At the time of this recording, there were only 2 issues out, but it looks like there's pre-orders out for the 3rd one, and the 4th one will probably be coming soon behind it. I'm not sure how long it is, but I believe it's intended to be an ongoing series. And kind of the big pitch I've heard the most about Green Valley before going into this is that you will not believe where it's going to go. Like, you will not believe what's going to happen. And it's, like, reiterated in almost every issue in, like, the back section where, like, you know, they have letters and stuff like that. So I'm like, man, they better really deliver on something really crazy. But anyways, to give you the kind of the baseline of the story, because it is, at this point, kind of a very straightforward story. Green Valley takes place in almost like a D&D type world, except there aren't really any like there isn't really any magic. So the first issue starts out and we meet the kind of what you would consider like the 4 D&D characters or the main characters of the group, and they're like battling against a horde of barbarians. There's like 400 of them against 4 of them, and they're very witty and being like, we've had bigger odds and things like that.
Sure.
And there's like the leader character, there's the kind of his like best friend, there's like the big bard kind of guy, and then there's like the archer sneaky dude. So it kind of makes up a pretty decent band of characters.
Yeah.
And the character work is very well done. The writing is very well done. And the first issue definitely is kind of a basic setup. So when you go in and end it, and it definitely has a bit of a different direction it takes at the end of the first issue, and the second issue definitely builds on that, but it's slowly starting to lay in that like things aren't exactly what they seem in this world that they've created. Because what they've created in the first issue is there's this kingdom, there's these 4 fabled knights that protect it, and they tell stories about like, oh, I fought a dragon, and like, oh, we did this, but they keep reiterating, especially in the second issue, that there isn't any of these types of things, like magic, or dragons, or things like wizards. But soon, someone comes calling and requesting for their aid, and they start speaking about things that these knights, these seasoned warriors, have never seen before and don't believe exist. Yet this person is very, very sure, and the way they explain it seems very positive that they've seen these things. So they are intrigued to journey with this person to protect or save or really kind of, they feel like, sort out, like, okay, there's obviously a misunderstanding about these certain things. We're going to figure out what's really going on here. And the second issue kind of leaves a bit on a cliffhanger. And that's what I've read so far. It's very intriguing. Again, it's really laying really great character work. I think they spend a lot of time with the first 4 characters. If you think going in the first issue, it's going to be like crazy and change your perspective. No, like it's really, you're starting to seed things in this issue. And from what I've heard, around issue 4 apparently is where things start to get pretty crazy. And again, they say this so many times in the back issue, so I'm very interested to see what Max Landis, who has like, he's very well known for having these big ideas. Yeah. So I'm very interested. I do believe he's going to deliver on this, but like, it's crazy how much they're like, and you have no idea what's going to happen. So, all right, I'm interested to see where it goes. So guys, Green Valley, get in now. And I'm interested because this is a cool time to get in on this comic that you can start to develop some interesting theories about it. And then hopefully we can all see where it goes around issue 4. So Mike, what is your pull?
My pull is also a brand new series. Only 1 issue is out at the time we're recording this. The new Invincible Iron Man series starring Riri Williams.
Ooh.
And this is written by Brian Michael Bendis and drawn by Stefano Caselli. I believe they were working on the series, the Iron Man series before this. I didn't read it.
I think so, yeah.
It wasn't for any reason. I kept meaning to pick it up, and I never did. And
well, there are many comics out there, Mike.
There's a lot. And we talk about a lot of them on this show because we talk about comics on this show quite often. And this is sort of a relaunch off of what's happened to Iron Man in crossovers and in that series, but since I didn't read them, I'm kind of going in cold. But what I knew was that the new character, who I believe is going to go by the name Ironheart, but that hasn't been established in the series yet,
right?
Well, I believe it's been confirmed,
but not not story-wise,
right? Exactly. But it is Riri Williams, who is obviously not Tony Stark. She is a female black teenager. She's, I think, 16 in the series.
But she's like a genius level.
She is very, very intelligent.
Okay. She's not like she stumbled upon like the Iron Man suit and was like, oh, cool.
And I believe that she was probably a character in the series before.
Very possible.
Because there's reference made to her meeting Tony Stark. But you don't need to have read that just to understand, like, oh, she has an Iron Man suit of sorts. Like, it's sort of an early design. It is her design.
Oh, cool.
Or at least it is her own suit that she has to, like, maintain herself. Because Tony Stark seems to not be in the picture. I don't know if he's dead or just super unavailable.
He's absconded somewhere else.
He is not in the picture, although he may have a role in the series that will play out. But it's actually a really excellent first issue. Bendis has done a lot of first issues for new characters. He did some really great ones for Spider-Man, for Ultimate Spider-Man twice, with the launch of the Ultimate Universe and with the introduction of Miles Morales.
Yeah, I mean, with both of those Spider-Man introductions, I think he crushed it.
Right, and this is actually, I think, a much more economic storytelling. He's not known for being a succinct writer. He's very much known for the decompression method. But this is actually a really efficient first issue where we get a lot of Riri's backstory. Like, we get it in pieces throughout the issue, but we totally follow it as it's going. And we also get to see her fighting a villain in the first issue and a complete fight with a villain.
A new villain or an existing villain?
I believe it's existing, but it's not a well-known villain.
Okay.
But I believe it's someone...
Is it White Rabbit?
Equivalent.
Okay.
Right, Rabbit equivalent.
Got it.
I think it may be someone from his X-Men run, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
She's definitely fought X-Men characters of his, at least in flashback in this issue. I don't know if he's referencing an actual issue or not. But it is interesting because he's done legacy stories before. You know, with Miles Morales, it was the new hero taking on the legacy of Peter Parker, and we got to see his origin sort of play out over a few issues because that's his style. But this is almost uncharacteristically tight. And very much like, okay, here is her backstory. Here is her now. And here is her character. And here is her family. And we're just in it. It's like, wow. Bendis? Are we sure this is Bendis?
Do you feel like it's because he wants to get into something bigger with this character?
Possibly. Very possibly.
Like, he's like, I want to play in this playground, but I got to really establish this. Because I think Miles Morales and that kind of stuff was very easy because especially with Spider-Man, he's creating the universe as he goes.
Right.
So he's slowly peeling those away. But this is an existing, constantly moving, issue crossing universe. Like he might need to get her in her faster.
And also, I think there's a big hook at the end of the issue that sort of leads to where the series is going to go. And I think getting there is important. But it's Bendis. Like, he's not without precedent of doing like really long, drawn out stories. But it's still like it's really feels like Bendis. It's got a lot of the not quite as dialogue heavy as his series normally are in terms of like the banter, like especially if you read his Avengers run, that was a lot of very Sorkin-esque dialogue. It doesn't have quite that feel, but it's still
Avengers walk and talk.
Basically, that's what he did a lot of. But this is like it's really well done, and Stefano Caselli is terrific. He's always been fantastic. He's done an excellent job. But when obviously when the Iron Man is fighting monsters, which happens all over this issue, like he does a great job. Or not like Iron Man, but like a big Iron Man suit. Iron Man suit fighting monsters, that's great.
Yeah, of course.
But even in the quiet moments, he's like really excellent. Like I've been a fan of his work before, but here I got a real like Sarah Pichelli vibe, who Bendis worked with on the Miles Morales series, and like it's really like there was a new level of Caselli's work, I thought, in this, just in terms of the quiet moments and just character development, and just the acting moments.
That's
I
nice.
really like saw that come through in a big way. Not to say it hasn't been present, but just like I really noticed like how drawn in I was to these characters.
Honestly, a lot of those moments for me sometimes really hook me to a comic series. Like, I think you can have really bombastic, beautiful, multi-page pieces, a splash page basically that look amazing.
Sure.
But I do really think to really hook you to a series, I think it's those smaller moments that really matter a lot.
There was a panel in this first issue that was just two teenage girls, Riri and one of her friends, just giggling. That was the whole panel. There was no dialogue to it, they weren't saying anything. We were just catching them in a moment of, giggling amongst each other. And it felt so real. Like, I just, like, looked at them. I was like, I see it happening. I see it moving. And it was just like...
That's amazing.
It was just like, hey, there you go. That's what the magic of comics is. In that moment, I was transported.
Well, for any other reason other than checking out the new Iron Man and Riri Williams' start, I mean, it sounds like the art is fantastic.
Yeah, the art and writing, it's excellent. I care a lot about this character very quickly, and I'm interested to read a lot more of what goes on with her and how she is introduced into the Marvel Universe.
Amazing. All right, guys. Well, those are our polls, and that'll take us to our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
The Legion of Superheroes, The Great Darkness Saga. The year is 1982, and we are reading The Great Darkness Saga, which is issues 290 to 294 of the Legion of Superheroes.
It's a very dramatic title.
It is, and I am not going to get into... I'm not going to be spoilery, but this is a big deal comic. Written by Paul Levitz and Keith Giffen, art by Keith Giffen and Larry Mahlstedt, and we open with the Legion checking out some sort of attack on the Museum of the Mystic Arts, which is in Mega California, because remember, we're far in the future.
Mega California.
We are actually mentions this is where the Magic Castle used to be.
Oh, that's nice.
This is where magicians have been for generations, since.
And for people who haven't been following or caught some of the episodes where we talk about the Legion of the Superheroes.
So the Legion of Superheroes is a comic book series from DC Comics that takes place way in the future, and it's all these teenagers from all these different planets, and because they're all from different planets, they all have different powers, and they are uniting together to protect the universe from Earth, because of course, and one of their members frequently, and in this series as well, is Superboy.
Yep.
Because they were inspired by Superman, and like all the other heroes too, but like mostly Superman. And so Superboy is one of the, not founding members, but definitely like one of the main characters in the series. Also Supergirl for a while was a major character in the series.
Makes sense.
But they are checking out the Museum of the Mystic Arts, and they go inside, and they're told, no, they didn't take anything. They meet Antonio Stefani, the curator of the museum, who looks like Doctor Strange if his hair matched his cloak.
Oh.
Like if it had the same like shape as the back of his cloak when it like does those fins.
Awesome.
Like he looks identical to Doctor Strange, but with Wolverine hair, basically. And he's like, here's the thing, here's why I know they didn't take what they wanted. And he produces this, looks like a green drumstick. Like playing drums, not like a chicken drumstick.
Gotcha.
And he says, the Wand of Menticism. Menticism, with power over the elements in their natural state. It's the most powerful item in our inventory.
And it is the soul gem.
I mean, maybe. But then it gets very dark, and this creature bursts through the wall, and they are essentially made of shadow. They are very, very dark, although their skin could be like a little porous, or like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. They look a little like lumpy, but
Fair
mostly they're shadowy. And he has a triangle on his chest, which is crackling with purple energy, and a cape of shadow, essentially.
Ooh.
And this person is working for the Great Darkness, serving the Great Darkness. And our Legionnaires fight it, and it goes quite badly. Quite super badly.
How badly?
No one dies, but, I mean, like, one of them gets frozen with, like, ice that comes out of the creature's mouth.
Oh.
Phantom Girl tries to, like, avoid a blast by just phasing through him as he's, like, running towards her. And as she does, she's like, oh my god, he's so cold inside. Like,
Even as she's phasing through him?
yeah, as she's phasing through, she's like,
Wow.
a phantom is never in the way. Whoa, whoa, and like shivers, like gets cut off from her.
So clearly,
joke.
this is a bad dude.
This is a bad dude, and it manages to get the wand. And as it grabs it, it says, I have it, master." And this portal opens up. Ploink is the sound the portal makes, which is great. But it's this like glowing purple portal, and he's yanked through it, and it closes again. Ploink, and the Legionnaires are like, all right, so that went super bad south.
Guys, we had one job.
That went
Thanos is gonna form. Wait, no, wrong universe.
wrong guy. He's not here. But they hear about another break-in at the Tower of London,
Oh,
which is the same as it's been since.
I love that the Magic Castle is on the same level as like the Tower of London.
Well, to be fair, the Tower of London is where they're holding Excalibur right now.
Oh,
Because apparently Excalibur popped up in a recent adventure of the Legion, and so
and it's real.
that's true too. That's very true.
To confirm, in real life, Excalibur is not a real sword being held at the Tower of London, at least to my knowledge.
Not that I'm aware of. Well, Supergirl found it, I guess, during her Legion initiation. That must not be that recent, actually. I don't know when she joined the Legion, but anyway, there's a bunch of tourists, a bunch of alien tourists hanging out near the Tower of London. We also saw that there were some near the Legion headquarters. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's the Legion of superheroes. That's the sound that tourists make when they're from
alien
other,
tourists make that sound.
other planets, I guess. And so Superboy and Phantom Girl stop to sign some autographs, and they're like, yeah, we'll deal with this, but you guys go check inside and just make sure it's secure. And just make sure that there's nothing going on at the Tower of London. Because maybe there's not a break-in yet. Spoiler alert, there's gonna be. But this is a place of interest. Because this is like, oh, well, there's been break-ins. This is a place that might go. So they go inside, and as Cosmic Boy and Wildfire are like running inside, Cosmic Boy's got magnet powers. Wildfire's got fire powers.
One seems pretty on the money.
As they're like running towards the doors explode, and Cosmic Boy is thrown backwards, and as he flies, he uses his magnet powers to draw as much of the shrapnel towards him, so it follows him and doesn't rain down on the tourists.
Oh, that's nice.
And Phantom Girl is like, well, I'm safe from it, but like Superboy, how are you gonna help with all these tourists? And he just laser eyes all the shrapnel, not the tourists. That'd be
Cosmic
bad.
Boy's like, show up.
And Invisible Boy, who is a brand new Legion member, this is his first mission.
He's Invisible Boy?
Invisible Boy. I'm sorry, Invisible Kid.
Fair enough.
Decides to run inside and check it out. And as he goes, he sees Wildfire is fighting a creature that has the same sort of qualities about it as the last one, but it's not human-shaped. It is sort of small and gremlin-like, but with a big orb-like head.
Oh.
Like one of those...
Wait, like Mysterio-type orb?
No, sorry. Like the leader, if we're going with the Hulk villain.
Oh, okay, got you.
Big old brain head. And of course, its forehead is crackling with Kirby dots, because Kirby dots make everything better.
Indeed.
And it's also standing right next to Excalibur, like it's right there. And so Invisible Kid runs over and grabs the sword. He's like, hey, I'll just take care of this. And then
He's just like, well, I guess I'll just run away. Bye.
And the creature, this sort of goblin-y, brain-headed guy, flashes light out. Even though he's professing shadow, he is able to cast light, essentially, and basically electrocutes Invisible Kid, grabs the sword, calls for his master.
Oh, no.
But Wildfire gets another punch in, and he's like, oh, why did that work when nothing else did? And the guy's like, well, that'll be a mystery until the day darkness comes to swallow you forever. And then he goes through another portal.
It's nice to know that he's like, hey, don't worry. We'll answer these questions later on. But right now, I gotta go steal this sword.
Well, or maybe it won't. Maybe we're just going to keep the secret until you die. It could go either way.
That sounds eviler. Yeah,
it goes
that
either
makes
way.
sense.
Flashback to Legion headquarters. Lightning Lad is apparently on the doctor's table. He's been having some trouble. His powers shorted out his brain.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty big problem.
And meanwhile, there's personal trouble going on where Saturn Girl, who is I believe married to Lightning Lad, is talking to Teen Wolf. Nope, that's not his name. It's so close to it. Timberwolf is his name.
Teen Wolf.
And Element Boy comes in. He's like, "Hey, Saturn Girl, you should go talk to Lightning Lad. He's kind of awake right now." And mention they talk about the fact that there's an election coming up because Lightning Lad is no longer leading the Legion.
He's not super president.
He's not super president. So they're trying to figure out. He's campaigning for the election. Element Boy is, or Element Lad. I'm going to get a lot of these names wrong,
A lot
guys.
of lads, a lot of kids.
And Timberwolf was like, well, you think you're going to get the job? And he's like, I don't know, Timberwolf. At least I'm trying to get something Lightning Lad gave up voluntarily.
Ooh.
Little dig at him with Saturn Girl.
Is that going to be part of his campaign? Is he going to be slinging some dirt?
We cut to a barren world where a fellow with...
I don't know, for half a moment, I just pictured a world just filled with old history-style barons. No idea why. Go on.
You were wrong about that.
Yes.
No, it's very just like gray and flat. Well, there's like little rocks, but there's nothing there. Except there are a couple of figures who have the same properties as these shadowy entities. One of them has female features and very long hair. One of them is more goblin-y, gremlin-like with no big brain. One of them has got the cape and the little triangle on his chest. And there's a figure there whose head is purple energy and the rest of him is in like purple spandex and armor and like Caucasian skin and like skulls on his shoulders, but like red skulls. He's just like, he's got a great design.
Whoa.
And we only see it here like very briefly, but that's his costume. And he's feeding on it. This is the darkness, by the way.
Oh, so this guy
this
darkness.
figure is what they're referring to as the darkness. And he is feeding on the energy of these magic items that were brought to him. And his energy basically envelops his whole body. Cut back to the, Earth, and they're like, all right, well, we got to figure out what's going on and got to figure out what's happening, what's the hibbity haps up here.
Is that how they say it in the future?
It's exactly
3000?
how they say it in the future. Yeah, you nailed it.
Fair enough.
But we cut to Talok 8, which is a planet where we are basically told that there may be an attack here. And so a couple Legionnaires are here, and they're like, all right, well, we got to figure out, hey, who turned out all the lights? Turns out it's that creepy lady with the super long hair.
What?
Made of darkness.
She can make darkness?
Yeah, she can make darkness, and she's going for an orb. There's a magic orb, which Brainiac 5 is like, hey, I think this is the place that they might go for, and sure enough, they did.
You know what, Brainiac 5? That's why we keep you around.
He's smart and stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's this fight against this creature, and they managed to do pretty well against her. They managed to take her down and stop her from going through the portal. Managed to stop her. However, there is another figure who emerges. That sort of creepy guy who was like hunched down. He's not that goblin-y. He was just like a hunched over human, sort of like lean and lanky. Flies in on this flying thing. It sort of looks like what Mr. Miracle flew around in, where it's just like the hover boots, but like it's got arms on it.
Right.
So it's just like the 4 limbs. It's like a Segway.
It's a hover Segway.
It's a hover Segway, sort of.
Just imagine a Segway and just imagine that it floats.
Yeah, and he manages to get the orb, but they managed to take captive this woman with the hair. But we cut back, and the Legionnaires are trying to figure out who's going to be the new Legion president. And it's between Element Lad and Dream Girl and Ultra Boy? Yeah, Ultra Boy.
Ultra Boy. Wait, Lightning Lad isn't running again?
No, Lightning Lad is giving up his tenure.
He's not going to run again?
No.
Do they have like kind of like a 2-term, 4-term, 1-term setup over there?
It seems that Ultra Boy has been the leader before, so he's like, it's totally cool if he runs again. It's just like, hey, if you want to be president, we agree, then do it.
It's nice to hear they've got a good 3-party system in year 3000.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Over 1,000 years, they added one more party.
But then these other Legionnaires come in, they're like, hey, if we can interrupt the election here, we've got this lady made of shadow. And also there's a subplot where they get a call and they're like, yeah, Chameleon Boy is standing trial for treason. And they're like, yeah, we know. He didn't want us at the trial.
A lot of politics in the Legion of Superheroes.
There is. But they take this woman into their brig, essentially, and they lock her up, but she's unconscious. They put her on the stretcher.
Did anyone, I guess Brainiac 5 must have done, some tests on the way back. Like, if we lock her up in here...
He wasn't in that group. He's here on the base.
Because I'm wondering if anyone's just like, couldn't she just make another portal in here that goes poink or whatever?
They seem to need to ask for the portal. Seems that's how that works.
Is her mouth covered?
No, she's just unconscious.
Oh, okay. So they're still not taking any type of precaution.
Well, what happens actually as they go in here, there's a chamber. This is sort of like a medical wing / brig, but there's a chamber in here where Computo is. Computo is don't worry about it. Computo's a villain.
I can probably guess what his specialty is.
Probably.
Is it Computer's mic?
But Computo's in stasis, so there shouldn't be any mind readings from Computo. But the readings start buzzing. Computo is having a nightmare because this servant of the darkness is here.
Is in the vicinity?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Just present. Just gives gives it dark. Just gives.
My power is not to give you restful sleep.
Yeah. So this creature comes in. This creature with the orb arrives. This one on the hover scooter. What do we call it? Hover Segway.
Hover Segway.
It flies in and is like, here's the orb. Places it before the master, and the master says, "Thank you, my son," and takes the orb and takes all the energy and is like, "All right, cool. I'm done with items. Ready to move on to life forms."
Oh no.
Yeah, it's gonna go super well, I bet, for everyone.
That's no good at all.
Issue 2 opens with them studying this woman who is still in this catatonic state.
So she's unconscious.
Yes, she is like full on, like she's still unconscious.
I thought she was like fine and awake. That's why I was worried that like, is there any containment going on in here?
No, she's comatose.
Oh, okay.
Essentially.
Fair enough.
After the fight. And then they're like, all right, well, we got to break up this up and go check out the election meeting. Dream Girl goes to the election meeting, and like a couple of others are like, yeah, we're just gonna chill here and like not worry about politics.
Because
just
there's a
this
darkness
moment.
person, like a shadowy figure in this cell, and might kill us.
But these servants of darkness go to the planet of Avalon, where there is a prison for a creature named Mordru, whom you might remember. He shows up very briefly in Justice League Unlimited. He's a super wizard.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and he shows up, and he's like, yes, thank you, whoever you are, and Mordru is grateful for you, and for that, your death will be swift and painless. There you are, little one. And the darkness says, an ill-advised presumption, and the next thing that Mordru says is, aye, because the energy is being drained out of him.
So he's not just draining just regular people, he's draining magical people. This
caped figure says, you are powerful, Mordru, perhaps the mightiest of mortal wizards, but I am neither a wizard nor mortal. I am destined to master all who live. This figure, just like, it's like a human with a cape made of energy. That's all we see. Because they no longer have that dope-ass armor, which is, like, weird.
So once he takes all that magic, he's like, I do not need armor anymore.
He had one panel in that cool costume. And it's so 80s, but it was like, oh, man. It's almost like...
How many skulls did it have on it?
It was like stylized skull images. Oh. It wasn't like actual skulls.
I thought he was like...
No.
Just skulls.
I'm not going to adequately explain it. I'm just going to put it in the show notes. But, like, it had, like, calf-high, bright purple boots. Like, it was dope.
Oh,
it was
you know
great.
what? He must have studied the Great Warrior, the Phantom, 1,000 years ago.
It was like, what if the Phantom had a metal corset?
Oh my god, that's awesome.
And like bare arms.
Sweet.
And like a purple glowing head.
When you're Billy Zane, why not bare arms?
Yeah. Anyway, quick cut to Chameleon Boy's trial, but we're not really we don't have time, guys. We don't have time to talk about that subplot. We're just...
He is put to death. It's a small moment in the comic.
He has a trial.
Moving on.
It doesn't go well. He is, in fact...
Is he put to death?
No.
Okay.
He's not put to death.
I said that as a joke, but you're like, yeah.
He does not win his trial for treason.
Or
at least, I mean, at least not in this issue. I think it may be, like, ongoing, but he definitely doesn't get out of it.
What, they didn't think Chameleon Boy could change his stripes?
All right, guys, that was the end of the episode. And we're done.
Somebody
Don't worry about what happens. It's all in the future. 3,000 years in the future, or whatever. No, it's fine. We'll keep talking about this comic. Anyway, Ultra Boy wants to postpone the election, but Element Lad, I think...
Go on.
...is like, no, Chameleon Boy's thing is his own thing, and we're not going to worry about it. He doesn't want us there, so we're just going to keep doing this election stuff. And Dream Girl's like, well, don't forget about me. I want to be the next leader. And then they get this call, and it's like, hey, guys, there's a disturbance on this planet where there's a bunch of prisoners, and they're like, all right, well, we'll go check it out. This is a different planet from the one that Mordru was on, by the way.
Did they get word about Mordru's planet?
They will, but not yet.
Okay.
But they go to this planet where there's a prison breakout, and there's like all these guards that are being attacked by these prisoners, and so the heroes rescue the guys, and Shadow Girl...
Go on.
I bet. Shadow Lass at one point used her powers to cover up the prisoners so that they can't see what's going on.
This is a good hero, right?
Yeah, it's a good hero.
Just because the shadowy people,
I understand.
Shadow Lass.
I understand. But no, she's good. She's cool. I think she's like Atlantean-ish, but not from Atlantis, but from a different planet. But she's got like blue skin. She looks like an Atlantean. I'm actually just assuming that she's waterproof. She may not. She may just be blue and cast shadow powers. That might be it.
How dare you assume those things?
That's fine. Anyway, the guard super freaks out when there's shadow. He's like, shadow, no, not the darkness, not the darkness. And they're like, oh, okay,
no.
Awkward. Ooh, not good. But anyway, Mon-El and Astro Boy? No, what was his name? Ultra Boy. We need to talk about who Mon-El is, though.
Okay.
Mon-El is from a planet of basically Kryptonians. They're not Kryptonians, but they're basically Kryptonians. They're from a planet with a red sun, and when they're on a yellow sun, they're Superman. So he's like the most powerful Legionnaire.
Wow.
So he's super cool, and we will come back to that later. Anyway, there's a dude named, he's a prisoner, the Time Trapper, and his powers have been sucked out of him.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's an ongoing...
Sounds like a cool power, though.
Yeah, and there's some sort of space warp nearby, and Mon-El tries to penetrate through it with his vision, and the portal's like, well, what if you didn't do that? And that guy comes through on the flying scooter thing and says, like, you have tried to gaze upon the master, fool, and that no mortal may do unbidden and live. They cast the shadow to try to, like, distract the creature and, like, keep it from seeing what's going on. It doesn't go super well. Their fight against him does not go well, and the creature gets away and gets through the portal, but it closes the split second before our heroes can fly through it.
Oh, no.
And they just end up smashing into a building. They're fine. They're super bulletproof and stuff. But they're like, wow, it disappeared, like, before you could get to it at super speed. Like, this master is powerful.
Yeah,
He's
pretty on it.
Some phenomenal cosmic powers. Anyway, cut to the heroes are investigating. They find Mordrew, who has been drained of his abilities. He's just saying, "Stark, so dark and cold," and like shivering and way less tall than he used to be. And this is where Element Lad is. They have like so similar facial features and stuff. It's like they both have like blonde Jerry curls, I think. And
Can you tell the difference between Ultra Boy and Elemental
I'm sorry.
Lad?
Ultra Boy's a brunette. There's a lot of characters in this comic, guys. I mean, I did not read
It
a lot
is
of
called
Legion.
the Legion of Superheroes.
There's a lot of them.
It's not called the Small Band of Superheroes.
Yeah, but they're going out and they're like, what do we do? How do we deal with this? And Dream Girl has a vision that her sister's going to get attacked. Her sister, who she calls the White Witch, who is not a member of the Legion of Superheroes, but could be because she's a magic user. By the way, she basically refers to having spell slots, like more or less, like preparing spells and using spell slots, more or less.
Does
like
she actually say spell slots?
Not in so many words, but a few issues before the Great Darkness Saga started, they were playing virtual Dungeons and Dragons. So like Paul Levitz plays D&D. So like her powers work basically like wizard powers.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, as they're talking to her, they're like, yeah, so I'm going to protect you from this attack. And then, that brain shadow creature shows up and tries to take the White Witch. They fight this monster and they manage to punch it a bunch and cast it back to its source. And Invisible Lad runs in and is like, Invisible Kid runs in to this portal-y thing and is like, all right, I can see this figure with this like super popped collar, by the way, no longer has a cape, just like a fin,
so
like
as
two
his power,
shark fins.
As his power grows, his collar only grows exponentially.
Yeah, and he says like, hey,
Mike, have we stumbled upon your power level in magic is how big your popped collar is?
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Doctor Strange has a pretty big popped collar.
Yes, more so than Thor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And Thor's got those like big old, like his cape is basically almost trying to pop.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, at certain points, I'm sure Doctor Doom popped many a collar in the day.
Oh, he's got a hood.
Yeah,
that's like
kind
the most popped collar.
The collar gets so tall that
it covers your head.
It loops and connects around.
Yeah.
We've solved it. We've solved it, guys.
We made it, everyone.
Good job, everyone.
Phantom Stranger, he's got a hood.
You're right. All magic users have some sort of popped collar.
Checks out.
Somebody do the research. I think we've figured out the secret to comics.
Anyway, the master is not super pleased that he's being seen, so he laser eyes Invisible Kid is who we were talking about.
I was going to say, it's Invisible Kid. Invisible Lad. Somebody who's invisible.
And
his powers are not really coming in handy quite frequently.
Well, he's very new.
He's running in. The first thing he does is, I'm going to pick up a tangible, visible object. And it's like, oh, someone's holding that. I should punch him.
It goes away, but, still.
Right. And then now he runs to the portal and, like, immediately is seen.
Yes, by this cosmic figure.
Which is literally the only power he has, is to not have that happen to him.
The brain guy retreats, and Invisible Lad is outside of the portal, and she's shaking. And he's like, so darkness, so cold. And Dream Girl has a vision. She's like, oh, we're going to fight on the Sorcerer's World, and we're gonna lose.
Oh no.
Meanwhile, cut back, Saturn Girl is tending to Lightning Lad, who's still very much like in his catatonic state, and that woman with the hair wakes up and gets out, and Saturn Girl has to fight her pretty much solo. But then Lightning Lad wakes up for like a split second and shocks her, and then he's like kind of okay. Seems to have unloaded the electricity that was inside of his brain, I guess.
Wow. That is very dangerous.
Yeah. The heroes go to the Sorcerer's World, where there's just a bunch of sorcerers, and it's really cool. So there's cities that seem to be like partly waves. So like when a wave crests, there's a city on it, and they're like, it's just an illusion.
What?
There's this monster with a city on its back, but that's also an illusion. There's only like one place of like tangible city that like you can like no that mountain.
It's like a suburb, but everything else on the planet
that part's
is a dope
real.
illusion.
Yeah, but they're there and talking to the sorcerers. And meanwhile, in the sky, the Legion engages with the forces of darkness that are arriving. We see the one with the motor scooter, which is more like it's 4 different pieces that are joined together. It's like handhold, leg hold, and then they connect in the middle.
It's basically what we always see Orion flying around on.
It's a lot like that, actually.
In like the in New Genesis.
Yeah, it's a lot like that. And we see a figure with a mace who's got like a mane of hair and a beard. We got the guy with the chest triangle. We got the brain guy. Woman's not here because she's elsewhere. And back on the planet, the sorcerers are talking to the Legionnaires and like, no, it's fine. We're pretty protected here. See, I'll show you. Did we
mention we're a sorcerer planet?
See, I'll show you the sky. Oh my God, look at those shadow people fighting in the sky. And they're like, yep, that's what we were talking about. They're here. Like, our people are fighting them in the sky. So like, we should go help. So the Legionnaires engage the shadow people. I'm breezing through this a little bit because there's a lot of comics to talk. We're going to talk about 5 issues and we're in the middle of the 3rd.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. We're running long, but they fight in the sky and it goes not super well. Wildfire gets blown to pieces. I guess he's like,
wait.
Clarify.
Does he die? Is he like Iceman?
I think he is like Captain Atom, where it's a containment suit. But it's still not good for him.
Well,
it's not good for anyone.
It's not good when it happens to Captain Atom. So.
Right. Meanwhile, the sorcerers are trying to use their magic to bring forth something that can help them fight the darkness. In our hour of darkness, send us the light. Morning's glow to end the eternal night. To battle the incarnation of death, we ask for life. And there's a portal, and some sort of space warp emerges, and out of it emerges a baby.
A baby?
And they're like, we didn't mean, like, make life. Like, how is this going to help us?
Listen, everybody, I know we live on a peaceful sorcerer planet, but we have one requirement, is that we all practice the summon the great warrior spell, okay? We do it every year. Who's been slacking?
Plus, Dreamgirl gets the sense... I think it's Dreamgirl. I'm getting my characters mixed up, maybe. But they're like, yeah, I think this baby may be what we're looking for. The alpha to the enemy's omega, if you'll forgive the pompous phrasing. But it sort of came out that way, or came to me that way, is as she says it, and she's looking at this little cute blonde baby.
Is the baby, it's not like a big baby or anything, it's just like a regular-sized baby?
Regular-sized baby. Not a time baby. Not a space baby. Just a blonde baby.
Just a blonde baby.
Anyway, our heroes are fighting in the sky, and the Legionnaires start calling in all the other Legionnaires of like all the reserves and be like, hey guys, this is escalating. This power is our enemy's big and stuff. And
I love the idea of like a shot back to this most epic battle, and then a tight shot on the baby, then a tight shot back to the epic battle, then an even tighter shot on the baby.
And the master appears. Sorta. I mean, the glowing empty void, essentially, that he is.
Right. Super Phantom.
Yeah, Super Phantom. At this point, just purple energy, shooting, like, blue lasers out of its eyes and, like, breaking Brainiac's shield and knocking out all the Legionnaires and keeps Wildfire's head just, like, as a souvenir.
Whoa.
Just as a prick move.
Wow.
And then his face just appears, it's just sort of eyes and mouth, laughing mouth, appear in the sky like a sun almost and say... as for you, young ones, you may live to witness my triumph in recognition of the service done me by one of your number. Live to witness the darkness transcendent and your ultimate undying doom. And they're like, all right, well, that super did not work. Like, everything went badly. But then...
You gotta give the guy some villain credit. He went all out. He went giant face in the sky, head trophy, lasers. I mean, he went full
pulled
villain.
out all of those stops. Wildfire gets into a new containment suit like it ain't no thing. And
it's like, I miss my head, though.
And then they're like, hey, and also, here's this baby. I guess this will help us maybe defeat the most powerful thing in the universe? I guess?
So were none of the sorcerers sure about what that spell was going to do?
No, they did not. They were like, it was like a Hail Mary pass of like, hey, can we, like, how can we help? And then they're like, and then whatever powers they evoked was like, how about a baby? And they're like, that's not really what we thought was going to happen. Like, we wanted power to defeat darkness, and we got a baby.
A sorcerer, like 1,000 years ago, like arranging scrolls, like, huh, that's weird. Got the pregnancy spell, and I've got the great warrior spell. Now, which slot did this one? You know what? I think this one probably went here.
Anyway, the White Witch is essentially talking about how she didn't prepare the right spells for today because she thought she was meeting up with her sister.
I only prepared Fireball.
I mean, essentially, she's like, I didn't prepare for battle, so like I don't have those spells ready right now.
Speak with animals.
Essentially that. And so the Legionnaires start basically fanning out and trying to figure out, like, where is the darkness going to go and what should we do. The darkness, by the way, in the last fight, and I glossed over it because there was a lot happening, encountered Mon-El and was like, oh, what's the name of your planet? All right, I think I'm going to go there. That sounds promising. So...
Not smart that Mon-El, like, told him. Oh, yeah. It's
No. He got it out of his brain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pulled it right out of there. Mon-El's not doing well, by the way. Mon-El's, like, unconscious.
Oh, no.
Because I guess the darkness was in his brain. So...
That sounds like a bad place
The
for it to
darkness
be.
arrives on, what's the name of the planet? Daxam. And is like...
Is this kind of new Krypton?
Kinda. It's very... Yeah. And is like... Ah, yes. So this is the world of Daxam. A pity it has taken me so long to learn of its existence. But knowledge, once possessed, is the most sure source of power. Seems I've caused a bit of a disturbance. Could it be that I frightened these poor souls? How very perceptive they were. And its eyes glow. We're going to cut away from him for just a second.
Oh, sad.
Well, meanwhile, back at the Legion headquarters, they're like, yeah, so this baby is a little older than it was yesterday. But not a day older, like a little older than a day older.
What do you mean? Everyone, listen to me. It's like, oh shit, is that the baby?
No. Baby's like 1 year old now.
He's got a full beard, social security number.
But as they walk out, as they're like, oh, we got to go deal with other Legion crises because like everything's going wrong. The baby is like just sitting in the bed. There's this glow from its eyes and a flash, and the baby's like 3 years old now, and it's like this baby's actively aging. Dream Girl, by the way, was elected to the leader of the Legion of Superheroes
nice.
In the middle of all this chaos.
Listeners, I know you were wondering how that election was going to turn out.
Yeah.
And any of you who voted for Dream Girl.
And we
congrats.
cut back to Daxam, where this creature is floating in the sky and just says, slaves. 3 billion willing slaves. Are you not willing, my newfound children? And the planet says yes. All at once, all the people say yes. And he says, okay, cool. So here's what I'm going to do. And he teleports, not the people, the planet. He switches it with that dead husk of a world they was on before. So now it's in front of a yellow sun.
Oh, boy.
And he's got 3 billion Superman people
Oh, my God.
as slaves.
Wow.
Meanwhile, this is about when the heroes...
That's a very drastic turn of events.
The heroes, the Legion of Superheroes, go to Daxam, and they're like, hey, this isn't Daxam. This is some old husk of a planet. Look, half of, like, 3 Legioners are just unconscious here. What's going on? And then some more shadow people emerge, and they fight our heroes. And they learn, essentially, like, okay, so what do we do now that Daxam's gone?
And that he has 3,000 super people on his
They
side.
haven't gotten there yet, but they are getting there.
Ooh, that's a real key bit of information.
Superboy is here, by the way, and he's got some devices on him to help him have power on this red sun planet, which is not Daxam, as it's just some husk of a planet now to fight.
I remember there was a planet filled with of my people here.
Meanwhile, back at Daxam, this shadow is shouting, does it not inspire you, your newfound powers? Do you not wish to pay proper homage to your master? Then rise, fly as one with the powers I have enabled you to have, into space with you, into the night dark cold, whose chill I love so well. We shall conquer this universe, my unthinking ones, you and I, and then I shall rule as is my destiny. So they go, by the way, first they destroy Daxam. They just unload on it with like their laser vision and stuff, and like
Wait, on their own planet?
Yes, as they're flying away, they melt it to slag and ruin their civilization because they don't care.
Wow.
They just obliterate it. And
Wow.
like the planet's still there, but like all the civilization and all the culture,
Yeah,
all
are
the
just
art
completely destroyed.
is vaporized and turned to
Whoa.
ruin, like an apocalypse.
So he didn't even like want to chance it. He was like, listen, at some point you're going to remember about that movie you really like or that art book you left at home.
Yeah.
You're going to miss it. No. We're getting rid of all of that immediately.
Superman squares off with the shadow person with the cape and the triangle.
And this is on the other planet.
This is on the other planet. And Element Boy makes some gold kryptonite around that creature and takes away its powers. Because they've done some research and they've studied the DNA. That woman with the hair is like the first hero of the planet that Shadowlass is from. A clone of her, it seems. The guy with the big brain is like a clone of a Guardian, like from Green Lantern.
Whoa, really?
The guy with the square on his chest is a Superman clone. It's like an antimatter clone of these people. Is who these people are. And so this is an antimatter Superman. So when they emerge...
So basically they figured out like that...
It has the same weaknesses. So they make gold kryptonite, and it takes away that guy's powers because it does to Superman. And then Timberwolf just smashes it into rocks because it's sort of just made of rock. But then they find Daxam, which has been reshaped into the face of the darkness.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Damn. I mean, his villainy is like on top levels.
Oh,
here.
and by the way, this is someone who we know.
Ooh.
Darkseid.
What?
It's Darkseid.
What a twist!
Darkseid is back.
Whoa!
Darkseid has made it to the 30th century or whatever we're in.
Darkseid got his shit together.
Darkseid.
Darkseid's always had pretty crazy plans, but like
Darkseid
it
leveled
seems like
up.
he's really got it together this time.
Once Darkseid was in a place where there were no, like, all the stakes were just like, hey, he could just win. There's no other series that would be canceled other than Legion of
pretty much.
Superheroes. Like, he could just win the future.
There's no Superman to punch him into, like, the Force Wall or something like that.
Yeah, into the Source Wall, rather.
Yeah, Source Wall, not Force Wall.
And Brainiac's heard of Darkseid when he's like, oh, I know what this is, when he goes to the ruins of Daxit, whatever it is. But yeah, Brainiac's like, oh, this ruined planet is kind of apocalypse-y, and I've heard of Darkseid. I thought this was a legend, but like, this is pretty on point with what Darkseid's deal is. So like, Darkseid's real, and the story went that he had the power of a god. So like, I guess that's a thing we need to deal with.
We need to go fight a god, everybody.
So they call in every spare Legionnaire. Supergirl's called in. The Legion of Substitute Heroes are called in. Meanwhile, the army of Kryptonians essentially just start obliterating nations and races, and like they start like,
whoa,
we just see all the Hawkmen are just like cast about in like the ruins of their exploding stuff. Like, they are a swarm of destruction, like a living Death Star beam. Not destroying planets necessarily, but like definitely destroying stuff.
I mean, if you have 3 billion Supermen at your disposal,
3 billion people.
You can level a planet pretty fast.
Yeah, it's going quite badly for the forces of good.
If they all simultaneously punch the ground of a planet as hard as they could, 3 billion of them, I believe that they could blow it up.
Meanwhile, that blonde-haired baby is like 5 and still not crying, as like children are wont to do, but they're on this ship.
You know what children are not want to do is grow that fast.
Yes, that's true. But the ship he's on with the Legionnaires is attacked by the forces of darkness, and they have to fight them off, and they manage to not fight them off. The ship gets exploded.
Oh no.
But Dream Girl's sister, the White Witch, manages to keep everyone safe with her powers, keeping them basically in stasis, frozen and like not suffering from the vacuum of space. And then they get picked up by another team of Legionnaires, and they basically like, all right, so here's what you need to know. Darkseid's a thing. We need to worry about.
Darkseid's real. He's a god.
Darkseid.
They've got 3 billion Supermen. We're in a lot of trouble.
I mean, this is a great comic, but like, I do need to gloss over some of what happens here because we are running out of episode.
Fair enough.
But they basically, the woman wakes up in the Legion headquarters, and Colossal Boy and Shrinking Violet manage to beat her. Shrinking Violet goes into her brain and gives her a stroke.
Whoa.
Well, dark times, dark methods. But, back in space, in the middle of this battle, as, Element Boy is adding just a little bit of lead to the atmosphere and causing the allergic reaction, essentially, of the vulnerability of the Daxamites to kick in, so that they're like plummeting from the sky. They're fine. They're still invulnerable. White Witch casts her powers, and she can't quite make all the people. She can't switch Daxam and Apocalypse, but she can switch the people and put them back on a Red Sun planet. Darkseid's like, all right, well, you know what? I'm just gonna invoke awfulness on all of you. So Lightning Lad, remember how you used to have an arm and it regrew? Yeah, you don't have an arm anymore.
Oh, no.
Your arm dissolves. Wildfire, you're obliterated again. And Duplicate Girl, or Duo Dame, or whatever her name is. Duo Damsel? She used to be Triplicate Girl, but then one of her parts died. You just have to watch your part die again over and over.
Wow.
And Bouncing Boy just falls out of the sky, and,
I cannot bounce anymore.
Timberwolf, you always want to be human. Now you're going to see yourself as a machine because you don't get to be human. And you know what, Saturn Girl? Just imagine, just be psychic and experience all this fun.
So basically, he just, like, hardcore devils them.
Yes.
He's just like, I'm devilrying you right now.
And his sidekick, the little one who called him father, says, "They are defeated, master." And Darkseid says, "Of course, they always were." And he reaches out for the child who's been teleported here because of his evilness. And as he's reaching out to it, it's very much like Adam and God, but evil. But instead of being the boy, it's Shadow Lass casting a shadow and protecting him in the form of Adam, essentially. It's a cool panel. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
And casts the shadow, which manages to block Darkseid's vision from this child. And Darkseid's like, what's going on in there? Whatever. Like, it sends in his son, as he called him, into the darkness. And then there's this blast of energy inside. And as the shadow falls away, the sun has been restored to how we know Darkseid's son.
Wait,
Orion
really?
is back. That thing he was flying around in was the thing Orion flies around in.
Ah, you were being deceptive on
I was
purpose,
being coy,
Mike.
but essentially...
I was going to say, because like when you were describing it, I was like, Mike, you know what Orion... I mean, this sounds
I do know what Orion
pretty
flies
much
around in.
almost exactly what Orion flies around in.
And that little boy, by the way, is Highfather.
Oh, shit!
It's Darkseid's age-old enemy, the man who raised Darkseid's son and fought him against him. It's Isaiah. He's back. He looks like Moses, but Kirby style. And
Is he now full Moses out at this
he's
point?
full-on Moses.
Full-on Moses.
He went full Moses.
Oh, boy.
He says, the women are safe from you, Darkseid, and you do not realize I was that child, Darkseid, reborn with the innocence of new life as you should have been reborn. But unlike you, I know my time is past, and I can only exist in this time momentarily. Yet there is much to do. I leave you to the mercies of Orion, Darkseid. And they fight, and there's like a huge blast of energy as the place where they're fighting is just like a nuclear explosion. And it's very, very epic. And as we know, there is a prophecy that Orion and Darkseid will fight, and Darkseid will lose. And this is the moment, like, he's not sure, is it now? Is it the past? What's going on? You know, when is this going to happen? But Darkseid's like, you know what, though? You're just a shadow. And, like, I don't have to lose to you, and destroys the Orion clone.
Oh, no!
And he's like, all right, I'm gonna win. And then Superboy and Supergirl come in and punch Darkseid in the face. It's very satisfying, even though he's still quite powerful.
Right, because he's Darkseid.
Yeah, he's very powerful. But as he's fighting them and he has quite a lot of power, the Legion is descending on him. And Saturn Girl says, can't you feel it, Darkseid? Can't you feel yourself losing all your power, and you can't even defeat us? This is no longer the universe you knew, monster, and it is beyond your power. And he sees the entirety of the Legion flying in, and he says, so, my powers have waned over the millennium. While they focused on you, they proved insufficient for other needs. And my hold on the billions of Daxamites has ended. I have created an army of billions of super beings, and your allies are leading them to me, because the Legioners are flying in with just 3 billion flying Daxamites.
That's a lot.
So
a lot of Supermen.
So he shouts, enough. It seems there is more to you than I dreamed, youths. You have if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
And what are you meddling kids and your 3 billion Supermen?
You have done that which is beyond imagining. You have shattered the dream of a god. You have won, children of the light. The darkness is fading, even as we watch. But remember, the darkness cannot surrender. It is always with you, always on the fringe of the dawn. And the instant you gaze at it in fear, your time will come. And he vanishes, and they're like, all right, cool, we won! And then his face just appears in the sky, like, just for the final word. Like, no, I gotta get the last word in. The wise man does not boast so swiftly, child, for though I'm gone, you shall not forget me. I leave you my curse, legionnaires, doers of Isaiah's work, the curse of darkness growing within you, destroying you from within. And that which is purest of you shall be the first to go. Laughs and fades away.
Everybody's like, oh, that was kind of a bummer.
In the epilogue, they recruit White Witch onto the team. She's a Legionnaire.
Right, I mean, she did a pretty good job.
Brainiac and Supergirl catch up, and Brainiac's like, yeah, I know I used to have a crush on you, but I think I've worked it out of my system. And she says, oh, what a shame. I was starting to think how cute you were. And he's like, oh.
I totally blew that.
Oh, Quirrell, you may be smart, but you've got to improve your sense of timing. And that's the last page.
Dun 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 dun. Darkseid's back.
Darkseid's still a part of your souls.
Wow, I didn't no idea that he was still around, but obviously he was plotting. But
yeah,
guys,
almost.
That was our main segment, and that'll take us to our game, Would You Rather? All right, this is our game, Would You Rather? This is like regular Would You Rather, but we inject comics into it.
It's comics themed, like everything we do.
Indeed. Now, for this Would You Rather. Would you rather, Mike, be an apprentice to Victor Von Doom or Ra's al Ghul? Or Ra's al Ghul, depending on how you pronounce it.
It should be Ra's. It's always Ra's.
Now, this is apprentice.
Yeah.
So that means you are learning things from this person.
Okay.
Maybe even potentially taking over a mantle of sort for this person, as an apprentice would. Now, which would you rather apprentice for?
I'm going to go with Dr. Doom, and here's why.
I thought you'd be like, Dr. Doom? All right, that's the end, no rational.
No, here's why.
Because you in a cool metal armor outfit?
Because Ra's al Ghul's a terrorist. And
You're right. Dr. Doom's much better.
He has an ideology that is like, oh my god, like, I want to destroy parts of the world so that the whole world can survive. And Dr. Doom's just like, what if I was in charge of everything? And it's like, okay, I can understand. I mean, I understand both. That's why they're both good villains.
Right.
And like, to be fair...
Because Ra's al Ghul is never like, destroy this part of the world because I hate kittens, and there's a lot of kittens here.
It's like...
I mean, even in Batman Begins, the movie version, not even just the comic version of Ra's al Ghul, he was just like, this city's terrible. And like
this city's awful. Like what
it would probably be nicer if like it wasn't this,
he's like,
and we just rebuilt it.
He's like, you know what would make the city nicer? If everyone was insane and tried to kill each other. Like, that is a very pessimistic view.
Yeah, pretty negative.
Whereas
yeah.
Dr. Doom is just like, the world is a mess and I need to rule it. Like, it's like, I mean, he's he's like a dictator, but he's not a psychopath. Like, and then neither was Ra's al Ghul to a degree. It's like,
I mean, he did say that one time, I was a god and it was beneath me.
I mean, this is the same man who made a suit of armor out of his ex-wife's flesh because he needed to, like, give a tithe to demons or whatever. But, like, he'll kill, like, one person. Like, he also drags the Fantastic Four's kids into hell just because. So, like, he's not a rational guy either, but, like, he doesn't care if you agree with him. Like, if you don't agree with him, he's just gonna kill you. But Ra's al Ghul is, like, gonna get you, like, to agree with him. So, like, is it better to work for him? Like, because he's, like, a more rational person, like, in his way? I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, Ra's al Ghul might debate with you, like, mentally about things. He might really... At the end of the day, if you're apprenticing for Dr. Doom, and you make it through this apprenticeship, right? You're probably Dr. Doom, or you're going to, like, kill Dr. Doom to assume his mantle or something.
Okay, bring me back to that real quick. Before we get there, though, like, Ra's al Ghul, when, like, Batman was working with him, at least in the cartoons, as long as I can remember, he was like, I don't agree with what you're doing. He's like, yeah, I know, but just train for a bit and, like, see how you feel. He's like, I don't agree with what you're doing. Yeah, I know, but just, like, what if just, like, have sex with my daughter for a bit and just see how you feel. Like, just give it a try.
Just try it out.
You don't know if you don't like it. And with Dr. Doom, it's like, hey, Dr. Doom, I'm not sure. Oh, well, I'm gonna kill you. And if
wait, I'm gonna immediately change my answer.
And here's the thing: if you're his apprentice, the minute that you rival him in power,
Dr. Doom will take you out. He
will destroy you. To be what you were saying earlier. Yeah, I guess Ra's al Ghul.
Here's the thing. Okay.
Guess.
Okay, if we take morality out of it, if you're with Dr. Doom, you learn to be like a technology wizard.
If we take morality out of it, there's no reason to side with Dr. Doom because he's going to kill you.
He's not going to agree with you.
Yeah, there's no reason to apprentice for Dr. Doom.
Now, here's my question.
Here's why I know that.
Wait.
Okay.
Let me put this to you.
Yeah.
What if you challenge Dr. Doom?
Bad idea, but go ahead.
I know. Well, let me finish. To create the ultimate apprentice. Like, it's kind of that idea of, like, can God create a gun to kill himself? You know what I mean? Like, challenging Dr. Doom to be like, if you are so great, can you take anybody and make them as powerful as you? Playing off of that pride.
Yes. His name is Christoph Vernard. After being ousted as leader of Latveria, Dr. Doom returned to the country with the Fantastic Four to overthrow its leader, Zorba. Doom met the young Christoph and his mother. While conversing with him, Christoph's mother was killed by one of Zorba's robots for violating curfew. Furious at the death of a woman who was standing in his presence and therefore should have been regarded as being under his protection. By the way, the most Dr. Doom thing ever.
Oh my god, that statement is amazing.
Doom destroyed the robot and defeated Zorba.
He's insulted by the action taken in front of him and not, like, saddened about the loss of life.
No, not at all.
That guy would just be intolerable to work
He destroyed the robot and defeated Zorba, the person running the country.
Yep.
Dr. Doom adopted Christoph as his heir and took him to live in Castle Doom. Following the apparent murder of Dr. Doom by Terex, Doom's robots took Christoph and brainwashed and implanted him Doom's mental patterns and detailed memories. However, he stopped the process before all of Doom's memories could be implanted, but after his intellect had been duplicated. Now believing he was the real Doom, Christoph's first action was attempting to destroy the Fantastic Four by blowing up the Baxter building. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, sometime later, Doom and Christoph had fought over Latveria. They had to fight over Latveria because they both believed they were the rightful heir.
Wow.
Because that's what happens when you apprentice for Dr. Doom.
Yeah, you have to fight in Latveria. Really, everybody in Latveria just loses.
Yeah.
In Ra's al Ghul's stance, he might just be like, yeah, I kind of want you to be Ra's al Ghul because I've been Ra's al Ghul for a while. And
yeah.
I've been looking to pass this mantle for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of his deal. Also, you could live forever. It's interesting. I don't know why I didn't think about this. Of course it's got to be Ra's al Ghul, because Batman was almost an apprentice to Ra's al Ghul, and I love Batman. Yeah. Why would I even second guess that? You're right. It's true. If you take morality out of it, Ra's al Ghul is probably the best answer.
Yeah.
Mike, I really enjoyed actually giving you one that made you so darn uncomfortable in making a choice.
You really, was what Would You Rather supposed to be?
Yeah,
really, really challenging.
They're not always as easy as working for Lex Luthor or Thanos, but, sometimes they get a little tricky.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nicely done.
Well,
nicely done.
Thanks. And guys, that was episode 68 of Because Comics.
We made it. We made it through, everyone.
Everyone. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts.
We have other podcasts?
We do, Mike.
What are they like?
Well, we've got one about the crazy and exciting world of Warhammer 40K.
That's a game.
Yeah. And like books and video games. That's true. Tons of stuff.
Yeah, board games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And board games, too. Yeah. They're all over the place, guys. They're going bananas. And if you want to learn about that universe, you're like, what is that? Check out Roll to Seas. And, guys, if you enjoy adventuring just in general and fighting dragons and magic and dark wizards and crazy adventures and comedy, Friday Night Quests might be for you. It's our Dungeons and Dragons podcast.
I'm on that one.
You are, Mike. You're a wizard.
It's true.
And I am your benevolent DM who never, ever kills any of you. And guys, you can check
just one of us.
You can check all of those out at partialarc.com. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, all at partialarc. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at partialarc.com, where he writes articles every Tuesday and Thursday. Mike, what do you write about?
Well, on Tuesdays, I write about Star Wars.
Nice.
I'm covering I'm in season 4 of Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Yeah, you're
now.
deep in there.
I am. This is what I've been told is the best season. Or at least when the show got real good.
And it's been going well?
It's been going well. It's a good show.
Very nice. And what about Thursdays?
Thursdays, I'll talk about D&D.
Very nice, everybody. All right.
Very on brand.
We are very on brand. Weird. Much like we're always on the ball on this show. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. And remember,
it's a difficult time right now, and I know that things can seem dark and hopeless, but remember, be the change you want to see in the world. We don't have to see the next Pirates of the Caribbean.
We don't. Because comics.